All you have to do to win is not lose. A wise man, the other day while I was streaming. Well, I haven't lost a game while playing as a demon in Evil Dead in 4 days now, so I would say I'm pretty good at not losing. And I've had a lot of people ask me for advice on how not to get their backs blown out while playing as a demon. So here you go, a quick guide on how to play demon. I'll be focusing on Necromancer and going over general game plan, which skills to pick while leveling up during a match, as well as what to level up in your skill tree. Necromancer is very fun. You get to go nuts while survivors have to listen to the meme man make music in the distance. The core of your kit is going to be focusing on basic units and your active skill, which is Flute to Kill. It summons a skeleton flautist who buffs your unit's damage by 70% and also gives them 30% damage reduction while in the radius, allowing them to party rock all over the survivors to a banging flute solo. The bonus is also increased at higher levels. You also have elite units. And to top it all off, we have Evil Ash as our boss unit, so we can up that Bruce Campbell jawline count in-game to a maximum of 5 per match. Evil Ash can summon skeletons, has an aura that resurrects any units that die around him, and has a standard boss command grab, with his being a little different in that it gives the survivors the suck and heals us for the damage dealt. Overall, the units are very good. They have decent attacks for their light and heavy strings, and will be carrying you even at level 1. So let's get into the general game plan and in-game skill points. I'm going to first go over what we want to do in-game. Our first and foremost objective is locating the survivors. You want to find them as quickly as possible. We gotta go fast. If they help you out by making noise or driving a car, great, but finding them otherwise is a mix of skill and luck. When looking at the map, based on where I spawn, I try to pick an area of the most tightly clustered zones and move towards them, trying only to enter them shallowly to see if there are any survivors, trying to cover as much ground as possible. For the most part, ignoring setting traps since they don't offer all too much experience unless you see a loot crate that's not out of the way. We take those, they're a quick bundle of EXP early on. Your first skill point should go into Possession for a small stat boost in an early fight. Once the targets are located, see if you can make a pick on one that is caught out on their own, and start setting up traps around them. They cost way less than your basic portal, and give you a single basic unit when activated. Once you have a decent amount of traps set up around your prey, or if your traps start activating, go ahead and find a nice spot for your flute skeleton to chill, and go in to possess a unit. I recommend setting up the flute a decent distance away with some trap coverage to keep them safe. Now this is the part where you have to make some choices. We want to possess a unit and start wailing on the survivor. But if your unit is about to die, do not possess them. There is a bug currently that disables all of your abilities if you possess a unit as it dies, and there's no way back from this from what I can tell. It basically loses you the game. If the unit is looking pretty scuffed, and you have enough energy, summon your basic portal, and hop into one of your Skelebros. Run up on the survivor, hit them with the old stat stick until they go down. Your possessed basic unit with flute up can take any survivor 1v1, sometimes they can get a 2-for-1 or more. Your core focus early game is going to be dealing as much damage as possible. Even if you don't get a single down, as long as you're doing damage, you are never losing a fight. This will level you up very quickly and allow you to steamroll later on, if it even makes it that far. Survivors get no experience or levels for fighting, so pressure them as hard as you can, as often as you can. And this is as good a time as ever to talk about leveling up. Your core focus is going to be basic portals until level 10. Every point that you can't put into basic units should go into Possession. This will give you the best stats possible for early encounters. At some point, there's one level that you have to put elsewhere, which you can throw into whatever you're feeling. I like to pop it into traps, just for that bonus fear increase. It comes in clutch when you're just trying to hop into a hunter and mag dump one of their teammates. And once you've hit level 10, it's party time. All points go to boss when they can, and if you can't put a point into boss, you go for basic units or Possession. Now here, you have to read the game state. Are you level 10 or more, with them having 3 map pieces, all full health, and they're moving towards an objective? Hold on to your boss until you're on the objective and have that recharging juice. Are they at 2 map pieces and 2 of them are down? Feel free to pop boss and get aggressive, take advantage of your lead, and close out the game. The game should start to flow for you from there. And as later game rolls around, if it makes it that far, you will get to go crazy at the pages are dagging. Make sure to focus fire supports like Cheryl and Pablo, and keep your flute skeleton up, a decent distance away, protected by traps. You have a few tries to find out what works for you in these situations, so learn from your losses, and come back stronger at the next objective. Alright, so let's go over the skill tree in post-game. Necromancer's skill tree is amazing for giving us some pretty strong buffs early in the tree, and I'll be going over the most goated leveling path in my opinion. Starting at tier 1, we have some of our most massive buffs that get us online very quickly. Maxing Health Razor Basic, giving us an additional 30% health on basic units, along with Rocksteady Basic, to increase their balance bars by 35%. These are what you should be focusing on first, making our basic units very capable. Now, even though we have access to tier 2, we are actually going to want to stay in tier 1, maxing out Infernal Revenue, which gives us 20% more energy per Infernal Orb we picked up, followed by Rocksteady Boss, making our boss harder to stagger. After that, we put 1 point into Scarier Demonic Dash, giving it a slight increase in fear gain on survivors, but that's just to get us access to tier 3, where we are going to max Portal Authority Basic, making our basic portals 25% cheaper, which is huge early game. Then we go 1 point in Energizing Demonic Dash for a slight increase in energy when hitting it, followed by 1 point into Bone Rage, which lets our skeletons be a bit more aggressive, attacking 10% more often. And now for our next big power spike at tier 4. Here we want to grab Irreparable Damage, which is massive. This will stop anyone you are attacking with your boss unit from healing for 1 second, which is insanely strong. I cannot count the number of times that Cheryl has tried putting down her healing as I'm wailing on her with Boss Ash. Healing reduction is massive in most games, and this is straight up healing negation. We follow that up with Health Razor Boss, which gives Evil Ash 35% more HP, which is always a good thing. And now we jump around a bit. We go 1 point into Louder Warcry, which boosts the range of our basic unit shout ability, which we do use occasionally. 1 point into Test of Time, making objectives 10% longer for survivors if you are on site, followed by 1 point into Comeback Stronger, which makes any skeleton that resurrects inside of Evil Ash's ability come back with 20% better stats. Bumping us to tier 5 so that we can get access to the amazing Flute Force, which makes the range of our flute skeleton 180.4 feet. This is super important as this is the core of our kit, and it basically extends the bone zone, as I like to call it, and allows us to keep our boys safe but still be in his effective range. After that, we go 1 point in Healthy Bones, giving our flute more max HP, followed by Skeletal Reinforcements, upping the amount of skeletons summoned by our Ash by 1. From there, we dump 2 more points into Comeback Stronger to bump that 20% resurrection buff to a 40% across the board. Now, we still need 6 more points to get to the next tree, so we backtrack for a solid ability. 1 point into Portal Authority Elite, 1 point into Infernal Refill to get a faster energy refill while on an objective, and then we follow that up by maxing Widespread Skeleton Resurrection, giving us a 30-second duration on Evil Ash's Revive. Still needing to spend 2 more points, we max out Test of Time, making objectives take 15% longer for survivors if you're nearby it, and Infernal Refill bumping it up an extra 5%. Onwards to Tier 6, where we max Heavy Damage Basic, making our basic unit deal 20% more damage, making them hit like trucks, followed by Buffed Bones, making Ash's Summoned Skeletons deal 20% more damage and also have 20% more HP. We round all of that out at Tier 7 with Heavy Damage Boss, making our boss unit hit 20% harder. We have one last point left over that you can really do whatever you want with. I throw it into Relentless Evil for 5% cooldown reduction on the Bone Flute, and I call it a day there. The Necromancer skill tree is very strong, and it nets us many solid buffs along the way. Additionally, at level 15, 25, and 45, you unlock extra passives by default, so I'll cover those really quick too. At 15, we have Skelephobia, which increases the fear level of survivors near our skeletons by 15% per second, or 5 seconds. I can't really tell what they mean with this one. It's pretty unnoticeable overall. Follow that up by a very noticeable one at 25, which buffs the damage bonus from our flute to 90% and the damage reduction effect to 50%. This is a huge power spike, basically letting us stat stick any survivor early game outright. It's insane, and we need it, so please don't nerf this. Survivors are very strong right now. And last but not least, at 45, we get a general 10% increase in damage to survivors around skeletons, which I assume is just all of our units since they're all described as skeletons, and that wraps up the skill tree. As well as this whole video, actually. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I will read them eventually, and I respond to them 90% of the time. If you want more stuff like this, let me know. I plan on maybe putting out a survivor tier list type deal from the demon perspective. Other than that, good luck out there, and I hope this helps you not lose.
Now watch this drive.